So, sort of pull a rabbit out of my hat. So I'll talk about karma and rebirth, but I won't get too, too technical. I'll try to give as many, personal examples as possible, sort of reflecting on people's personal experience and the direction of their life and what happens to them and whatnot. So, we can sort of relate. We can relate to other people's experiences more effectively than sometimes sort of like scriptural knowledge doesn't really may not be so meaningful. So when you're looking at the like on a scriptural level, like say in a nutshell, in relation with karma and rebirth, karma is essentially action. So what do we mean by action? So it's when the mind actually moves. So say for example you have a deep state of meditation and your mind is quite still and peaceful. As soon as your mind moves to thought construction and feeling and ideas and moods, then karma essentially takes place right at that point. As soon as you see the first arising of thought, as soon as you see the first arising of emotional feeling, that's when you start to generate karma on the mind level. And the other two components, say the bodily action. So as we conduct ourselves with a physical body, we what's the right word? Essentially, we do stuff. We walk and talk. We move. The whole direction of our life, the way we interact with other people, the way we act out with the physical body. As soon as you move, say for example, an extreme. As soon as you move a finger, as soon as you start to move your physical body, and you've got, say, like an intentional action. So, in relation, and the same with speech as well. So you have bodily action. In broad terms, you have bodily action. You have speech. You have the movement of the mind. And every time one of these is activated, every time one of these starts to roll and move, and that essentially that will have a karmic result to it. So, because the whole universe works on cause and effect, and every single move you make, every single thought, every single word, every single movement with this physical body will generate karma when you have, without getting too complicated, when you have like intentional action behind it. So, if you're moving in a certain direction, you're aiming for a certain goal, you want to achieve certain things, karma will come into play on either a major level or even on very, very subtle levels. And karma can be, you can only generate, say, one karmic, say, potential, an effect, a karmic effect. In say one thought moment, you can't have a mix of karmas. You can't have 5 or 6 karmas in the duration of one thought moment, which is it's like the supposedly the 1,000th of a flash of lightning. That's a thought moment. So the whole rise. As you move through the course of your life, internally on an incredibly subtle level, your mind rises and falls. And within that process, that current, we generate personal karma, and there's going to be an effect. So as your mind rises and falls, as you do wholesome, unwholesome, neutral karma, the effect of karma will take place as well. So every second of the day, every move you make has a potential to make karma in one's life, and that karma can take place, say within the next 5 minutes. It can take place within the next 5 days, or possibly in the next lifetime. So you've got 3 major areas: what would you call it? In the immediate life, the future life, or following, like a succession of lives after that. So multiple lifetimes after that, and that karma if you've got, say for example, a person generates very, very heavy karma where they possibly murder a person, or they do some kind of a real extreme level of crime or violence, like multiple murders, multiple, what would you call it, say criminal infractions, anything you can possibly think of to an extreme level on multiple occasions, serial killers, all these very, very dangerous, psychotic kind of people. They may receive the what would you call it, the fruits or the effects of that karma over several lifetimes. Like usually when we if we're responsible for the death of others, it's not like absolutely black and white. There can be shades of grey. You can have, say, like a mother who intervenes with another person to save her child. So we could be in a situation where we take a person's life in order to save maybe a family member or even a child based on compassion and support and protection. So, karma is not absolutely crystal clear. It can be a mix of different colours. There can be a number of things happening there. You could have a major event in someone's life. Maybe it could be something like maybe a person goes to rob, say the Perth Mint. There was one of our guys up at Carnet stole a gold bar from the Perth Mint. So I think it was probably about $18,000 worth. So, but the intention may be that he could have possibly been maybe being greedy for a nice car, or his children. He couldn't afford to maybe textbooks for his children for school, or anything you can possibly think of. There could be a mix of both good and bad intentions there, and the karma is going to align very, very closely and very, very precisely like a laser beam. And when karma reaches you, when good and bad karma and neutral karma comes full circle and reaches you, the actual time and the place and the duration is very, very precise. It's down to seconds. You can. We've seen multiple occasions like this. I mentioned this story before. There was a gentleman. He was a senior engineer on a project in Malaysia. They're just in a multi-story development, and it was several days before the site was going to be legally accessed by the owners. And he was driving around with their vehicle, the family car, and he had his wife in the driver's seat, 2 daughters in the back, and then a concrete block fell from something like the 17th, 18th story down, and they were moving around at maybe just like, maybe a bit faster than a walking space. I'm only guessing maybe about 5 miles an hour, and that concrete block came right down on the driver's side and killed him instantly. His wife was scratched up and bruised, but survived without major injury. The 2 daughters were unharmed. I think maybe slight scratches, but unharmed. He was a decent family man. A general good person in the community. So so why does a person lose their life like that in seconds? All it would have taken is just maybe even 2 more seconds. The car would have been completely clear. Yet this gentleman loses his life, and he wasn't a decent person, as far as community standards go. And then you get this like a lightning bolt, like out of nowhere, takes this person's life. And you're looking at it's within seconds. Within a couple of seconds before and after, person would have been perfectly safe. Young man down south around the I think the Margaret River area. He was the mum and dad were from Singapore. He was out with a group of friends. They went down south, Margaret River. He was getting a friend was taking a snapshot. He was out on a rock platform. The sea was completely flat. There wasn't any waves at all. He was only on the platform for about 10 seconds. The sea rises up, sweeps him away. They couldn't find his body for days. That's with the divers, watercraft. It took about three days before they found his body. So, you're looking at extreme cases like this, and, they're decent human beings. Why do they need to lose their lives like this? And so, in essence, these specific individuals have done something, very, very, very heavy. You don't lose your life for nothing. You don't lose your life in freak situations like that, where you could have been perfectly safe 5 or 10 seconds before, perfectly safe 5 or 10 seconds after, but you get taken out within just this 2 or 3 second time frame, and you lose one's life. But in essence, you can virtually guarantee that those individuals, for you to lose your life like that in any situation, you must have taken the life of another person, because karma, in order to understand karma, it's got to be. It's like a leveling field. What you do, as say, like Jesus said in the Bible, what you do unto others will be done unto you. And the reason why it's like this, with cause and effect, on the level of this universe, on the level of karma, rebirth, and human beings, is if that law did not work in that fashion, then you can't relate, you can't understand the connection between the cause, the reason why, and what actually happens to the person at some point within the next 5 minutes or even the next 5 years. So karma as a law in itself, because the universe works on laws, it's very, very precise, very, very accurate. When we look at karma, whatever you do to other people, whatever the way you behave in the world, especially with other human beings, but the way, even for example, the way you treat animals, the way you affect the ecology of the marine life of the planet. You could be a person who's in a professional position in any one of these scientific fraternities, or you could be in the mining, what you call it, oil and gas fraternity, where you're drilling down from platforms into the seabed. So, all these things have a karmic potential. So if you harm the marine life, if you adversely affect and confuse and end up stranding whales or deafening the whales, or say a whale gets deafened and then moves in the path of an oil tanker and is mortally wounded or even killed, and you're setting off the charges for that, for oil and gas exploration, you're going to be karmically, it's going to be a karmic effect for that, and it's going to be measured by the level of harm or the level of good that you essentially project and instigate in the direction that you're moving in. But naturally, karmas as well, it can be 1 for 1, it can be 1 to 100, it can be 1 to 10,000. It all depends how let's call it the moral intensity. Little things like if I intentionally say squashed maybe like a flower or a small shrub, there's a small karmic potential in that, an unwholesome potential. But if I once I start to hurt, harm sort of like insects and small beings, even little bunny rabbits, or it could be even puppies and kittens and larger animals, the karmic potential, the effect is going to be much, much greater. And one of the heaviest karmas you can make is to murder and harm other human beings and animals to a lesser estate. So the higher the level of the mentality and the development of the being that you harm, higher up the scale, lower on the scale, will determine the karmic effect which is going to return to you, and it's going to be very, very much in line with the energy that you've projected out towards other beings or out towards the world around you. Because if it's not, if karma's just all over the place, if it's hodgy-podgy and not very accurate, you can't see exactly what's happening. And the laws of this universe are incredibly accurate and precise. And this is why, as Buddhist practitioners, when we look at things in this way, when you look at the way people live with their lives and you look at what happens to them, then you can see maybe quite clearly if the direction that they're taking is wholesome, unwholesome, or reasonably, reasonably neutral. Depending, because things that can be very, very subtle, can be very, can be very, very heavy, very, very subtle. So as human beings, because of our higher cerebral, cerebral brain power and emotional intelligence, that this should never, you should really look at one's life in relation to this. And when you do this, especially this anicca principle, this death principle, it makes you, especially these key kind of meditations, the kind of insight meditations that the Buddha recommended, they help to increase your awareness of these, of this kind of phenomena. And so as people in general society, we may feel, sometimes, we believe in being a good person, being harmless in general society, but you may get people who take advantage of you, or who may possibly even harm you, or compromise you in certain, or expect you to do certain things which may have criminal intent. You may be working for a company, and then your boss wants you to start taking a course of action which is essentially illegal and borders on say like criminal activity. But this particular disciple could see exactly the way the cards were playing out, and he just wasn't prepared to go that way. So he just told his boss politely he was going to resign, but he was able to get a decent job quite quickly with another company, because when he left his old boss on reasonable terms, not in a position of say anger, revenge, or hatred. He left his old boss on amicable terms. And so when you do things in the right way, you find that the good karma which arises from that will support you, because sometimes in general society we may feel that if you're a good person, a decent person, that people will take advantage of you, and that might be the case. But this is where your wisdom faculty comes in. This is where your emotional intelligence comes in. So you can be a very good human being. You can be helpful. You can be kind. You can help other people in small ways on a regular basis as you move through the course of one's life. But where the boundaries are. You can sense when they're asking too much, or they're expecting too much, or too demanding, or they're asking you to engage in things which are completely unreasonable, could even be borderline on criminality. So, but these people who like to follow that course of action, who could be unscrupulous, they what would you call it? I can't think of the right word. Advantageous. They look to take advantage of other people. They seek for opportunities to rip other people off and cheat them and take advantage. Those people, no matter how smart or cunning they are, they will always lose. You watch them quite closely, and eventually they will get whacked. They will be robbed themselves. They will come to misfortune. They will have degenerative diseases arising in the physical body. So whatever they do to other people or other life forms on this planet will come full circle and will basically bop them on the head, maybe gently, or they could get incredibly sick, or their own life could be taken. So it all depends how heavy the karma is. So the more heavy, the more weighty the karma, especially bad karma. It's not 1-to-1. It can come back 10-to-1, 100-to-1. So people have got to be, when you see these silly people in general society who essentially are almost like a parasitic kind of mentality. They look the personality may not be right. It could be like a personality disorder, or they could be narcissistic, or they could be I can't think of the right words. A kind of individual who's always looking to get the advantage, to get ahead in life. Even if they have to walk on other people, cheat on other people, no matter how smart or cunning or they think they are, they will come to misfortune, and they will lose. They will get. They will receive the fruits of the karma that they generate. No one gets away with anything. The monks and nuns don't get away with anything. People, like anyone in the planet, absolutely anywhere, is subject to these laws, and these laws are eternal. These laws exist in this universe for eons and eons and eons. Expansions and contractions of this universe. And they're set in stone. They won't just disappear one day and go away. They are there for eternity. They have been there since the beginning, and they will be there for eternity, because it's a natural law in itself. It's one of many natural laws that you see in this universe. And people, if we think, that no matter how young and energetic and how beautiful and how talented and how skillful you are, if you think you're just incredible and wonderful, and that you are God's gift to mankind, whether you're young or old or male or female, you look at the forces, the forces which move the whole solar systems, the planets around suns, which actually shape the formation of nebulas and galaxies. And we're on this little planet called Earth, and we think we're so amazing, and then you look at the incredible powers and forces which move these helix galaxies. So there's no comparison. And when you do when you do these, and I saw this quite clearly. When I started to work, I've been doing this perception of changeability of phenomena. Anything could be 101 things, and I've been doing that for several years now. And it accelerates your insight practice. This perception of death is another one. It accelerates your insight practice, because you're practicing certain techniques which increase the potential of your insight practice. So when you do your peaceful meditation, and then you think about feelings, you think about relationships with the family and work, your duties, responsibility, your children's education, there's certainly you can certainly increase in knowledge and insight. There's no doubt about that. One's worldly experience, worldly understanding, like full knowledge, comprehensive knowledge and understanding, which is moving within the wisdom spectrum. So wisdom is experiential. It's not like reading. It's not reading. I don't read hardly at all. I might maybe study 5 or 10 minutes a day. But when you do these very specific practices, like 4 elements, death, which are very user friendly in small quantities. You only do these for several minutes at a time. The principle of change, you can do it for hours. I do it thousands of times a day, and you will see an effect on your insight practice. It will make you more aware of other things, of other phenomena that you experience in your day-to-day life. When you say, for example, this Anicca principle, the changeability, the suffering, the emptiness of the human condition, of the experience of any being in this universe, and even the flowers, the trees, anything you see in nature is inherently empty. You're looking at elements which are regulated by natural law, the laws of this universe. I lost my train of thought. It'll come back to me. Yeah, so those I lost it. So those laws. When we look at the grand scheme, the big picture of this universe, we're like little ants crawling around on the surface of this planet. We don't really have that much power. We don't really have that much influence. our karma. Not to underestimate people's personal karma, because it's something that you really need to pay attention to, because it's an enduring force. You know, your mum and dad, brothers and sisters, your children have very, very strong, enduring, long-term bonds, emotional relationship, karmic bonds with you, which persist over multiple lifetimes. And when we keep reconnecting with mum and dad and reconnecting with our family members, that karmic energy, the relationship energy will repeat itself and will play out over and over and over again as you move from life to life. Because the thing is, you know, with your personal experience, you know, karma, it's a conditioning, it's a conditioned process. You know, you're looking at cause and effect. Say, for example, like habits and I can't think of the right words. Mental habits, physical habits, behaviors of the mind, the way people think and feel, the way they walk and talk. This is all within the spectrum of karma, because karma is action, and karma is behind all this stuff. So the person that you are now, you know, you are the sum total of all your past karma. So not just the current life with your family, with mum and dad, with your family, you know, with friends and siblings and your life experience, but it's from, say, you know, multiple past lifetimes. The last lifetime will have the greatest effect, because it's the closest life, and you'll see memories, and you'll see behaviors and habits coming through from the past life to the present. Sometimes people can have a mix of different behaviors which are very, very contradictory, which are very, very maybe quite puzzling. You could see extremes. You can see opposite extremes of behavior in one individual, and you think, how can that kind of personality traits exist in just one person, you know? But you're looking at the last life, which will come through. But you know, you're looking at certainly several lifetimes back. You know, usually before that point, it's got to be on it's on a very, very deep level. It's very hard to reach. The average person just, you know, won't see it. If you've got incredible meditation, you will be able to see and identify this kind of phenomena. But when you're looking back, you know, 5 lifetimes, 10 lifetimes before, the average person and even the average monk and nun has got absolutely no chance, not a snowball's chance in hell, of being able to identify and understand that phenomena coming back from 5, 10 lifetimes previous, rising up into the personality. There's just no way you could possibly understand where that is coming from, at what time, with what person, time and place. You know, because it's so far back into the past. These distant memories. You know, the Buddha I think recollected about, was it 90? I think it was 94 kalpas, 94 expansions and contractions of this universe. High-ranking masters in Thailand, from what I've seen and heard, they could probably go back maybe possibly one expansion, contraction of the universe. People who have very, very extensive psychic ability, because you're looking at thousands, hundreds of thousands of lifetimes in different worlds, and you know, you've got to have incredible meditation power. You know, you're looking at down from the Buddha. I mean, it's as high as even the two chief disciples. I'll try to be accurate with this. The Venerable Moggallana, who was the chief disciple, mastery of psychic power, who was more powerful than any other monk in the Sangha, was not able to forecast and understand the karmic direction of any being at any time. Only the Buddhas can know, you know, because what's the right word? Only the Buddhas can know the karmic potential of every single human being who basically appeared in front of them, even from a distance. It's possible to know, if you know the person, the location, it's quite possible, even if you had a person halfway across the world. You've had enlightened masters in Thailand who would have an understanding of where the person was at, where they come from, and whatnot, but only the Buddha could understand the full karmic and rebirth potential of every single being, regardless of the range. As far as I can see from the sutras, could understand the full karmic potential of any, say, human being, or even each animal, or a deva being, an angel being, within any interval of say time frame of time and space. You're looking at the mind's got to be at full power. You need the power of a Buddha to comprehend something like that. So with your relationships, I won't waffle on too long. With the personal relationships with your friend and your family are very, very crucial. They're not to be underestimated. Even with the people that you don't like, you don't necessarily get along with, you're going to be chained to these people. You're going to be connected with these people, not only in this life, but in multiple lifetimes. So you've got to be very, very careful the way you relate to them, the way you treat them. You don't create problems. If you're a very, very silly person, it doesn't matter how smart you are, how cunning you are, you create problems with other people, you're going to pay. You're going to get whacked. You're going to have trouble, misfortune. You're going to have bad luck, and it's going to play out on you, and you're going to receive the full force of that. If you have enemies, even if you're as a human being, if you have enemies, you do not. The safest way to engage with enemies, with difficult people, with troublesome people, is you do not engage them unless you absolutely have to. You keep them at a distance. You keep them out of your life. If you have to interact with them, you always keep karma in the back of your mind, because it's not just them. If you create problems with them, or if you try to get revenge on them, or you want to punish them, it's going to come back on you. So the best way is to get them out of your life, disconnect, only relate to them when you have to, and you still have to be careful, because you and them, you're like chained to each other. Past lives, you were chained to that person, whether it was love or hate or any other emotion in between. Whether you love them or hate them, you are chained. You're going to be chained to that person for a lifetime. So you've got to be very careful the way you relate to them, because every single move you make, it's got a potential, and that potential will repeat itself as you move into the future. Thank you very much. Okay, we better do some meditation, and then 8 o'clock we've got to do some chanting, and then we've got to do some chanting. Saturday, if I can read. Okay, so we'll meditate till 8, then we'll do some chanting for 10 minutes, and then we'll have Q&A. And then if you guys are incredibly energetic, you can sit and walk